In the beginning, there was Bitcoin. The digital universe exploded into existence. In the same way that the Big Bang created all the ingredients and building blocks for everything we experience and own in the physical world, Satoshi's creation of Bitcoin achieved the same for the digital world. And just like in the physical world, as time progressed, organic patterns of physical matter started to emerge in the form of elements, like hydrogen and oxygen forming water. And these were inevitably identified and organized into what we now know as the periodic table of elements. And since the moment of Bitcoin's inception, it's now possible to look back and identify organically emerging patterns within Bitcoin's raw data. This phenomenon now has a name: DMT. No, not that DMT. Digital matter theory. Digital matter theory states that the organically occurring, non-arbitrary data being produced in every Bitcoin block can be mapped into a digital periodic table. As with physical elements such as gold and diamonds, some digital elements are rarer than others. And as with physical elements, digital elements on Bitcoin must also first be discovered, but once they are, they can be used to create almost anything: in-game items, metaverse skyscrapers, art, or PFPs. The Track network enables the discovery of digital elements by indexing raw Bitcoin block data to unearth these data patterns. Without Track, digital matter would still remain undiscovered to this day. And as the only protocol to support the creation of non-arbitrary assets, TAP is proud to be the home of DMT, powered by Track, accessed by TAP. DMT, built by Bitcoin.
Hello everyone, this is MrRosc, I'm MrRosc. While I was making this movie, a video from the TAP protocol came out in which they explained in 100 seconds what digital matter is all about. If that video is enough for you to understand, you can skip what follows. If you still have some questions and feel interested in figuring them out, watch on. I think it is a good idea to start with a short reference from school curriculum to find out what digital matter is. You know, like physics and chemistry. Do you remember? I think so. To avoid being too brainy, and frankly speaking, I don't have enough knowledge for that, I will base my narrative on the fact that the universe began with a Big Bang, ignoring all other theories. That is just more convenient. First of all, we are interested in the periodic table of chemical elements. After all, everything on our physical planet is made up of elements. I mean, iron, gold, and lead all have certain properties we can use to make the product we need. And the materials themselves have a price determined by the rarity of the element and the energy expended in mining the mineral. That's the core idea, and based on that, I'm going to try to explain the digital matter connection and define it a bit later. Explain how new elements are added to the periodic table and why it matters. Observation is the researcher's main tool. Some elements lay right under our noses. They were noticed in ancient times and added to the table in the 19th century. Copper, silver, iron, as the elements were discovered during experiments in laboratory. Lithium, chlorine, fluorine, technetium was the first synthesized chemical element in the table. And the cherry on top of the cake is atomic and molecular astrophysics, a field that focuses on observing the cosmos, because all the 118 chemical elements in the table were the result of our biome generation. Okay, just kidding. They were all generated by the Big Bang. And so scientists are observing the deep space around the clock, looking to the traces of giant temperatures and pressures that occur after the death of a star, the creation of supernova, or even collision of stars, and they are hoping to discover a new element of high density which they will be happy to add to the periodic table. To this day, there is still debate over the number of these elements that will eventually be discovered. But the most important thing for us in this video is analogy of world creation, which consists of chemical elements generated not randomly but as a result of thermonuclear processes in the cosmos, which mankind has noticed, regularized, and continues to observe, adding more and more new elements of different properties, rarity, and possibility of use for their needs. Digital matter theory! An analogy to the Big Bang. A second before an epochal event. It is 2008 on Earth. Events are running their course. September is rushing in. Mankind is enjoying its consumerism and the global crisis is about to kick in. Amidst all these events, a big boom goes unnoticed. On Monday, August 18, 2008, the following paper is published: Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. In the context of our video, I will consider this moment a digital Big Bang, the consequences of which we have been witnessing for 15 years. And the digital bits flew into the human world. In the physical world, it took billions of years to form the Earth's crust, living organisms, and humans. In the digital world, the first Bitcoin block was mined in 5 months. Everything was new and incomprehensible. And it was only real enthusiastic believers and simply fanatical individuals who ventured into mining, the price of which could only be calculated in theory. What to do with mine token? How do you popularize the industry? How do you continue to do so while investing resources with no financial return? The answer to this question were still pretty far away. In May 2010, a noteworthy event occurred. 2 Papa John's pizza were purchased for 10,000 bitcoins. This fact is not only noted annually as the first significant exchange of Bitcoin for a good, but will also play a role in the digital matter theory later. In March 2012, Unasia was the first to propose coloring Bitcoins. The Genesis transaction protocol enabled tokens to be transferred by storing information about the coin's designated color. The very fact that a particular Bitcoin could be valued, recognized, tracked, and systematized was a significant breakthrough for the industry. It was 11 years before the digital element table was created, but enthusiasts were not only noticing the gold beneath their feet, but also trying to sort out how to systematize mining processes and valuation methods. In the same year, the halving occurs. The reward is reduced to 25 bitcoins for mining a block. A bitcoin is valued at $400. To use an analogy from physical world, gold is no longer lying around. It has to be found in rivers and panned. From 2014 to 2017, the digital world of Bitcoin continues to evolve. If we compare it to the real world, it looks like the early 19th century. The table of chemical elements won't be discovered until 70 years from now, but science is rapidly evolving and radiating ideas. Chemists Daberina, Gamelin, Concordis and Ullans will make the first drafts of the soon-to-be table. In the Bitcoin ecosystem in 2014, the op-return update was implemented by a joint effort of developers, allowing the insertion of arbitrary data into the Bitcoin blockchain without generating harmful redundancy or putting new load on data store network. This move, in addition to creating tech-critical capability for the time, built a bridge to future asset tokenization, which would prove a pivotal in the creation of the OD token in the Bitcoin network in 2023. And in 2015, Peter Weil proposed the Segwit upgrade, which was activated on the Bitcoin network on August 23, 2017. This technology made it possible to increase the block size by moving signature out of the transaction data to a separate block. This reduced fees and opened up the possibility of scalability. It was possible to create already truly complex scripts, and the analog of smart contracts, opening the door of possibility for the TAP protocol, which will pioneer this field in 2023-2024. Of course, it brought the implementation of Bitcoin-based tokenization even closer. The Runes meme token of 2024 is a good illustration of this. Jonathan Baer's book, The Block Size War, provides a detailed overview of the Segwit. It is available on Amazon. Year 2021, Taproot upgrade. This is the final stage of preparation before the creation of Ordinals and the rise of new Bitcoin hype, but no longer as a traditional financial asset, but as something more significant and require new understanding. The key points of the upgrade. In the upgrade, Schnorr signature were implemented to aggregate multiple signatures into single multi-signature, which reduced transaction size and fees and hid information about whether the transaction was a simple data transfer or something more complex. Merkle trees made the processes of integrating blockchain smart contracts more efficient and compact, and the amount of the data generated in the process became appropriate for storage without significantly impacting the network. The Merkle tree structure allows the smart contract not to be completely uploaded to verify the condition, which considerably upgrades the overall speed and security. All of this fertile ground for the emergence of the next long-awaited stage in life of Bitcoin. Why am I talking about such similarly complicated thing in the context of our semi-entertaining video? The point is, when and if you dive into DMT, you'll come across these definitions as a part of our reading of articles, forums and charts. Having a basic, albeit superficial knowledge of the fundamentals will help you navigate the technology faster and be among the first when needed. We are already getting close to DMT within arm's reach. In 1863, previously mentioned chemist John Alexander Newlands proposed his table of chemical elements, which was similar to the one that would be proposed by Mendeleev 6 years later. But the work of the scientist was not accepted by the scientific society because the author was keen on the search for harmony and the connection between music and chemistry. After that, he was employed at a sugar factory where he worked for many years, simultaneously studying chemistry and music. In 2023, in the digital world, the man who has dedicated his life to Bitcoin, Casey Rodarmor, goes against the grain and creates the ordinal concept, which was controversially accepted by orthodox Bitcoiners. Their major complaint was the oversaturation of Bitcoin with garbage records, which they believed would happen once the idea was implemented. These guys remain strong adherents to the concept that the Bitcoin blockchain should only be used for transactions within the network and for nothing else. Casey is a straightforward man. He saw an opportunity to boost the blockchain in a qualitative way, and he made it. The minimum unit of BTC is Satoshi. There are 100 million Satoshi in one Bitcoin. At the time of this video release, approximately 19 million Bitcoins had been mined out of a possible 21 million Bitcoins. Casey numbered each small Satoshi, and now any item has a number on the blockchain. This not only makes it possible to consider each Satoshi unique, but also to interact with it. It became possible to add data directly to the Satoshi, images, text, and media. The data is stored directly in the blockchain. No more Amazon services. It is realized by the NFT collection of apes by BAYC. Only blockchain, only hardcore. Bitcoin NFT and BRC20 were the result of Rodarmor's ideas. Then, one day, he decided to optimize the conventional dirty BRC20 protocol that spams garbage UTXO. To avoid making this video too long, I suggest you pause it video and figure out what unspent transaction output is. It is the basis of how the Bitcoin ecosystem works. In October 2023, he launches the hype called Runes. While BRC20 had free function deploy, mint and transfer, Runes were somewhat more complex, and their structure allowed for an asset burning function. If only Casey had known at the time that he was creating something that we are now witnessing on Solana and meme tokens. The idea is incredible and hype is great, but the result differs for everyone. On April 29, 2024, the Rune came out and the market went down. Right now they are trading very poorly. We are all waiting for the internal turmoil within the Ordinals team to end. I hope everything will be fine. Following Casey tweet, I see more and more posts that have nothing to do with cryptocurrency. This guy needs to reboot and avoid getting a job in a sugar factory like Alexander Newlands did. The industry needs enthusiasts like Rodarmor, whether he is an adherent of the digital matter theory or a rival. It doesn't matter. We are waiting for you, Casey. Rare SAT. Pay attention to the NA inscription above the title Rare SATs. The arrows on the left is blinking. There are no non-arbitrary tokens. I will talk about them in the next blog when we discuss BitMap. It is important to realize that we already have one foot in the DMT realm, albeit in a muddy shoe. Rare SATs belong to the Ordinals ecosystem, but their properties more or less reflect the holy essence of the elements of digital matter theory. But okay, that comes later. For now, Rare SAT, some Bitcoin theory. When we transfer Bitcoin to another address, we create a transaction, which in turn consists of those small Satoshi I mentioned earlier, and the aggregate of the transactions form a block of Bitcoin, which is like a train car. Train car is filled with transactions within an average of 10 minutes and sent to the blockchain, where the data is stored forever. We're going to omit the role of the miner and validation in this process. It is not that important for the sake of the example. You should know that everything works as elegantly and steadily as a healthy person had. Once a block is inscribed on the blockchain, Satoshis have their own positions that can be valued. It can be common, uncommon, rare, legendary or mythic. It all depends on the uniqueness of the location. The first Satoshi on the block in a 4-year halving cycle, the mythic Genesis block zeros that exists in a single instance. Well, you get the idea. Beyond that, the attraction of the Satoshi number enters the game. For example, the palindrome, it reads the same backwards as forwards, completely identical numbers, Fibonacci sequences and so on, and of course events, buying a pizza, transaction blocks from Satoshi Nakamoto, the first Satoshi after the introduction of Bitcoin ETFs, and the like. The easiest way to purchase rare Satoshi is the Magic Eden marketplace. There is a corresponding section there. Why would anyone need this? Lulu gains slightly touch on DMT. By deploying their NFT collection, creators can use rare Satoshi to raise the value of their collection. Imagine a 10,000 item NFT collection fully deployed on famous pizza transactions. The NFT creator would decide according to his wealth what he can do to amaze the community. I'm not sure if rare sats will survive in Ordinals as an asset for investment, but as a future part of DMT it is awesome. So do your own research before spending any money. Do your own research, I'm not kidding. We are moving on. BitMap, ladies and gentlemen, the lands as our community calls them, showed up in our information space over a year ago. I was surprised back then. What an unusual format for NFT minting. A map of lands is available. You select and mint paying only gas fees. Perhaps this exact idea was taken as a basis by the block runners as they launched their mscribe.io project. We collected dozens of lands, sold them on a good value spikes, and then they drop in value. Then recently they went up again. The funny thing is that we didn't even realize what the asset was all about while speculating. Why was the price rising and what is the value of this NFT collection of over 800,000 items? The emergence of Bitminers can be considered the first event of the periodic table of digital elements. The only caveat is that it was not realized at once, but only when the owner and mastermind of the Taproot protocol Benny attempted to streamline all available knowledge about it by launching the indexing of the DMT entity in the Bitcoin blockchain. So what is it? Bitmaps are graphical representations of Bitcoin blocks, where each pixel can represent a unit of digital space or asset. So it turns out that by holding one bitmap, you own a projection of actual blocks that was once mined. There is a cool website, TXCity, that visualizes how bitmap surfaces form in real time. These little people are transactions waiting their turn to step in the train car. This is how the future bitmap is created. The size of the little man is the sum of the transaction. The price of gas and the waiting line determine the location or conditional geographic coordinates that the small block will occupy in the bitmap. Once the bitmap is full to the brim, it leaves to the blockchain and we have the final form of our bitmap. By the way, in the past Bitcoin used to be significantly cheaper and we could see a lot of blocks consisting of a single square because it wasn't a big deal to send a transaction that was significant and current prices in 2024 but not a big at 2010 prices. Every bitmap has its own rarity, that is understandable, but it is main attribute due to which it can be considered part of or even the basis of digital matter theory is non-arbitrary or the non-randomness of the asset's derivation. The block is created by analogy with a thermonuclear reaction from the real world, only in our case it is mined by miners who brute force nonce to generate the block. Search information about this on Google. I recommend the video Consensus Algorithms, Blockchain Technology and Bitcoin UCL by Andreas Antonopoulos. An ecosystem of users gives bitmap properties through their transaction generation. In theory, block generation is never ending. Even after the reward for mining Bitcoin ends, new block will be needed for transactions. This, in turn, adjusts the landscapes of described virtual world. There are no leaks like the well-known metaverses such as Sandbox or Decentraland, where developers generated unpopulated wastelands whenever and however they wish. Bitmap is not only a natural home for metaverses but also a place for mine for new non-arbitrary, non-random assets, which I will discuss in the next block of video. I realize this isn't easy to put in your head and absorb the full extent of what is happening, but I will say one thing: we're in the very early stage of a new meta that will take over the world, or we are not and nobody's going to take over anything. What have I imagined here? Please don't turn off your critical thinking. And you'll be kicking yourself in a couple of years for not buying at least a few lands, being afraid to the current 800,000 supply of the collection. Or you won't care. Well, in short, you get the point. Don't trust, verify. The rarity of the bitmaps can be checked out on the same Magic Eden. It is very similar to rare SAS attributes, except there are still properties of visual similarity to something like CryptoPunk. It is the same as always. Listen to it and keep it in your head. But don't forget about the great and powerful DYOR. I suggest that we officially consider the realization of BitMap's implication in DMT as a creation of the periodic digital table of elements. This is a moment when the work of modern scientists, Bitcoin enthusiasts, critical thinking and observation of the process have created something truly new and breathtaking. Moving on, here we are. Digital matter! It never gets boring. Theory. On the basis of what I have said in this video so far, I will summarize and try to frame all the information into a coherent concept. Important, digital matter theory is not widely recognized scientific field. It is a hypothetical concept exploring the possibility of structuring the digital world by analogy with the physical world. What do we have? Brief summary. A meteorite bangs into the ground. We have waited a little bit, a few billion years, to get out of the water, learn to communicate and begin to explore the world around us. A couple of hundred years ago, Mendeleev gathered all the data together in one convenient table, for this time not in Microsoft Excel, but that worked too, that gave mankind a theoretical basis for discovering new chemical elements and consequently new materials. For example, semiconductors and catalysts were used to drive our technological progress. Using an analogy, in the digital world were in about 1817. It's been a year since the discovery. No one understands anything yet. There is a little information, there are small community, poor marketing, competition from other solutions, tons of doubts about whether it will work, and not enough developers for evolution. I will wait for other. I have never been a truly early bird, so I shouldn't even try it. Well, that's it, but I'll tell you what, DMT is awesome. Let's go back to analogies. The concept proposes common rules for all future assets. The rules are determined by the patterns of the blockchain itself. All tokens and financial solutions created in the future will be non-arbitrary. Their generation will rely on the patterns of the blockchain. It is like the Tesla that Musk launched into space. Of course, it consists of chemical elements typical of our galaxy, but it is built according to a specific algorithm. If someone finds it upon close examination, everything will indicate that it is from Earth, and it was most likely built in China. DMT's main goal is to strive to bring fragmented entities into a single ecosystem, a unified digital world with clear physical and economic rules of the game. It is about moving away from fragmentation and towards wholeness, fewer human and logical errors, and a predictable backdoor-free economy. The same Taproot protocol, Benny, is awesome, indexes everything that happens in DMT, creating common rules for the system. If you throw up a platinum ball in the DMT metaverse, it will fall to the ground next to you, under the influence of gravity, instead of ending up in the pocket of the developer of the next Ethereum killer. Benny is doing his best to make a full-featured DeFi appear in Bitcoin, not just some duct tape at the layer umpteen, but right at the first layer, right in Bitcoin. This will unlock the centuries-old deposits of BTC holders who refuse to move their digital gold anywhere, and it is going to boom. It is not just a boom, but bifurcation point for the entire cryptocurrency. All this will be within the framework of unified digital matter theory, with clear economic laws and understandable interaction between assets. To put it another way, we will have a unified bitmap-based metaverse that will outline the topography, location of minerals and cartography of the assets deployed on it. All the tokens, NFTs and financial instruments like DeFi that are being created will be part of this solution. Any change in price, demand or supply will have a chain effect on the entire cryptocurrency world exactly the same way it happens in our real world. Weak blockchains will fail and strong ones will integrate into the new landscape and play by the same non-random rules, or they will not, and it is all the raving of lunatic. Don't forget to do your own research. Bitcoin is a data provider, Tap is the processor, data validator and creator of the game's rule based on the provider's information. The NFT tokens use Bitcoin's data and fit within the embedded conditions to be part of DMT. Since everything is implemented on layer 1, sustainability, security and decentralization are transferred from the parent. This is excellent. If you are ready to be an early bird, you can look closely at the asset within DMT. We are in that amazing phase of a new trend when the first asset in DMT, the first token, the first NFT, the first game and the first DeFi marketplace appear, like EVM. This is a native Ethereum token in the Punk and Apes NFT. In decentralized Decentraland and the Sandbox Metaverse games. It would be cool to be the first one everywhere. So let's go to digital matter theory. NAT token is abbreviation for non-arbitrary token. It was the first. It is based on the 11th bits field, which determines the current difficulty of Bitcoin mining. The value of the bits field is variable, approximately equal to 400 million. NAT can be considered a companion token to an issued Bitcoin block. Remember that about 870,000 of them are issued at the moment. Multiply 870,000 by 400 million and we get, it doesn't matter what the number will be. For convenience, when you scroll through the marketplace with offers, subdivide the billion offers by 400 million and it will be clear how many are in block. If you bought 50 billion tokens, divide by 400 million, you realize you have 125 NATs. This is much more convenient. By the way, there are 144 blocks or 144 NAT tokens mined daily on the Bitcoin blockchain. This token is a prospective means of payment that will replace Bitcoin as a transaction method. If Bitcoin is the gold, the NAT is the dollar. When in 100 plus years the reward for mining Bitcoin blocks is over, block mining for NAT could be a logical extension for the ecosystem. And in our lifetime, this is a potentially powerful extra revenue stream of miners. The token was issued a year ago. A bear market and insufficient marketing reduced its price by tens of times. It is not a bad entry point. You can purchase it on a Scribe or Ordinals wallet. Just make sure you purchase the correct token. I will put a decent article about NAT in the description box. It was diving into before buying. DYOR. NFT Natcats are the same NFTs as EVMs, but they are only issued under DMT rules. They are built in an ecosystem, they interact, respond and live. Natcats is the first NFT collection in DMT created from digital matter. Each Natcat has unique features and is generated autonomously through the Bitcoin blockchain. The 11th field is used for its generation, block height. By height we mean the ordinal number of the block in the blockchain. Natcats is built on the pattern 3B. The algorithm searches through the contents of this field across the entire blockchain, and if it finds one, then register an NFT. Accordingly, the project can calculate the required economics before issuing the collection, analyze how many more NFTs will be issued, how it will affect demand, and so on. And we as users can estimate without graduating from the higher school of economics whether we need this collection, given the marketing, demand, and connection with other projects. Well, in general, it's up to us to decide. At the time of recording this video, Track Indexer tracks 3 fields. The 11th field, bits, the complexity of mining. The 10th field, known, the numbers that miners brute force to generate a new block. And the 4th field, which is the block height. The indexing of the entities is underway, and number of available fields will expand. The cats use the digital matter properties to generate the rarity attributes. The creator of the collections decides for himself which properties to rely on. It needs to search for new patterns in the found block and use them. Eventually, the correct number of patterns for rarity will be created, which can be used for the whole upcoming collection, and which is important you can remain within the existing digital matter without leaving the boundaries of the metaverse. The release of new cats will occur as the new blocks are mined. Once you have mined a block, you head to the bits field. If the pattern 3B is there, cheers, the new item is obtained. Next we'll look at its rarity. How could you participate in hunting for new items in the release collection? I put a link to Gitbook in the description box. Besides the cats, check out the Royals. They were the second one after Natcats. They have groovy art and an active community. All of this can be purchased on Magic Eden or Scribe. Do your own research. Games, metaverses and apps. Let's talk about Foxxi, the DMT metaverse and their Bitminers. These guys initially took the challenging path of building a game in DMT. I gave you a link to their Gitbook. There you will find a lot of interesting information. In short, they have the first in the business. It is an open world with warfare and trading. The closest analogy is Fortnite. Currently there is available minting of Bitminers with varying rarity levels. The price of spider minting is 136,000 sats. There are 9 levels of rarity. The twist is that that the loot will depend not only on the rarity of the Bitminer, but also on the characteristic of the block it runs on. Hello BitMap! Dive in this, it is fascinating. You can buy it at mscribe.io. When recording this video, there was no listing on Magic Eden yet. Blockdrops. This is a new feature dated September 16, 2024. Each DMT asset turns into a backpack-alike item. Any project that wants to distribute an airdrop is allocated not by artists, but by the asset you hold. This is awesome, as it reduces the number of paper hands. Sell assets quickly become less profitable. The more people who hold NFTs, the more stable the price of the collection. By holding, for example, Natcats, you will get Blockdrops airdrop, and it is up to you to decide if you want to mint it or not. It will simply be in your backpack waiting for your decision, even for the rest of your life. That's it. It is tied to your Natcat. Such a cat with a full backpack of drops will be worth more than a Natcat who has revealed all his gifts. By the way, the mint can also be chargeable. It is up to the person who is distributing it, but so far few creators have done this. It is good for the ecosystem because distributing an airdrop in Bitcoin becomes cheaper. This is a saving on distribution commissions. This means the ecosystem will host more developers. The backpacks are available to bitmaps and generally to all assets within the DMT verse. The first distributions are about to start soon. I'll be keeping an eye on it. And that's all for now. The video is a bit longer than I had planned, and I don't think that I covered everything I wanted to, but this format is enough for a first experience. Feel free to comment and ask questions.